After heavy rain from last weekend's tropical storm, those affected may see an increase in some unwanted visitors. In business news now, the stock market celebrates a new deal struck by European leaders. Wall Street enjoys one of its best days of the year in spite of disappointing economic reports here at home. It's a building that's been around since the 1940s. Now Jackson County is saying goodbye to the old county jail. The hotly debated issue of the Aaron Bessett Amphitheater finally reaches a conclusion today at the Panama City Beach Council meeting, but not before the council got heated over one council member's plans to table the issue. Mr. Cox says with every month that went by, his frustration began to build. He seemingly could not get anything done. So we contacted News 13. We in turn contacted the corporate office of ADT to try to get resolution to this problem. There are similar complaints voiced by other tenants who live here. Some of them say they still like living in the complex. They're just concerned about these issues that have come up. The big question is, what is the company doing about it? These lines may become familiar after a time if you drive the bridge daily. The problem will be for out-of-towners not familiar with the bridge. If you hit this at a higher rate of speed, the lines can be confusing. When the fires break out, the Red Cross responds when it's needed, but it's also called out in hurricanes, tornadoes, and other bad weather. With storm season still in the distance, it's the time of the year the Red Cross is building its team of volunteers. This water is beautiful and calm, but it can become a dangerous environment for someone who doesn't know how to swim, particularly a baby. It's obvious Tram Road is important to the drivers getting from Star Avenue to Tyndall Parkway, and everybody we talked to wanted to know what can be done to make it better. So I took that question straight to Bay County. Fast wheels and expensive cars made their way to the Panhandle last week during the Gold Rush Rally. Event organizers say the nationwide event crisscrosses the U.S., raising money for charity. But there is a problem. As News 13's Jason Hackett tells us now, a bit of controversy came out of their visit to Bay County. Jason, what happened here? The top of our news, a storm drain collapse near the Bay County Pier closes a road and causes a detour for some beach visitors. The sinkhole-like depression is just east of the Goofy Golf Course on Front Beach Road. News 13's Corey DeBritnia joins us live now with more. Corey, what have you learned about this collapse? Problems with the Florida Comprehensive Assessment Test come to light as districts across the state take a closer look at its effects. Some say they are very serious. News 13's Andrew Ruiz joins us tonight with a story. Andrew, parents are asking for change when it comes to this controversial testing system.
Summer begins this week, I believe, on the 20th.
Hey, we're right there, you know, and hotter this week, near 90s?
93,
low 90s.
95 by Saturday.
Yeah, well, the weekend was nice, I gotta say.
Yeah, it was pretty perfect.
It was a great Father's Day weekend. You know?
It was spectacular. it was just fantastic. At times the weather was just perfect.
Nice breeze out there, so
Yes.
wish
Good
we had
job,
more of that.
Atlanta.
An oddity more than anything else, but of course, if it's out there, I'm going to talk about it.
Well, we have a couple of Chris's here. All of a sudden, they're important. Tropical storm
they
named
perked
after.
up.
We have 3 Chris's? 4,
At least,
5, 6?
at least.
Seems like it anyway.
Maybe more before it's over with. Thanks, Justin. Well, you know, last week we had all the rain and everything. That was great. So
Yes.
hopefully it's brought our level up. We're not as bad as we have been.
About even for most of the area, and I noticed lots of green grass and yards out
Oh, yeah.
there with some of that recent
out
rain.
there. Yep, and more to come. Looking at those 7 days, as is the case, we on the coast get a little break from the
Yes.
heat, a few degrees, just a few.
But inland areas, you know, Montgomery, Macon,
believe that?
105 to 108 air temperature.
Yeah.
I lived up there for a while when I was a kid. It doesn't cool off.
Even Chattanooga has 103 right now.
That's right.
So it's all up through there. This is Pinnacle at Hammock Square in Lynn Haven. If you have driven Highway 77 near Walmart, you have probably seen the attractive apartments behind the public shopping center. They opened last summer. The developer says the complex was built with concrete block construction, according to Florida Green Building Certification standards. That means it is airtight. And with colder temperatures this time of the year, the building can't breathe, and there is a buildup of moisture.
Started deep cleaning, moving stuff, and I noticed green fuzzy. I noticed it in one area, and I was like, oh.
This tenant doesn't want her face to appear on camera, but did describe how the environment in her apartment changed about 3 weeks ago.
It's nasty to live with mold. It's not clean, it's unhealthy, and I just feel like they should have us somewhere else until the problem's taken care of.
She showed me pictures of what she says is mold that had collected on some of her furniture. Property management responded to her complaints by doing some cleanup of affected items and bringing in this dehumidifier. Tenants were advised to set their thermostats at a cooler level to control the potential for mold. Another resident sent me these pictures of mold in her apartment. She moved out after 6 months. There are similar complaints voiced by other tenants who live here. Some of them say they still like living in the complex. They're just concerned about these issues that have come up. The big question is, what is the company doing about it? The regional vice president of Pinnacle Housing Group says he was on site last week in Lynn Haven along with an assessment team.
We did a thorough inspection of the units the other day, and ones that were too humid, we've brought back into balance. You've got a stable interior environment where the humidity goes up and up, and the air conditioning is not on, so the air is not circulating, or if the resident is not running their mechanical system at all or not turning on the ceiling fans that we provide in each unit, you may get stagnant air. It's advisable to you to open a window twice a day, 5 to 10 minutes, to allow for a fresh air exchange.
Lawrence Cox of Callaway says his problem with ADT started last May with a knock on the door. A representative of ADT Security spoke with him about upgrading his home security system.
She told me, so they had to charge me for new contacts for all the windows and the doors and everything.
That was part of the upgrade.
Right, because they were going from a hardwired system to a wireless system.
Cox says he paid just over $252 for the upgrades. Then the woman left.
Well, then a man come down and said he could put it, he was going to be here about 45 minutes putting it in, because they didn't have to run any wires. All they had to do was stick them on, but nothing worked. And when he turned the alarm on, I asked him when he was going to turn it on because I didn't hear it.
Cox says the only visit from ADT after that were monthly bills for service. Cox says was not even complete. Could you figure why in the world they just wouldn't finish the job?
No, I couldn't.
Mr. Cox says with every month that went by, his frustration began to build. He seemingly could not get anything done. So he contacted News 13. We in turn contacted the corporate office of ADT to try to get resolution to this problem.
I had seen you doing some articles on the TV. So I figured, well, what have I got to lose? I got a return call from them in a hurry.
ADT techs came to Mr. Cox's home a couple of days later working on the security system. News 13 received this statement from Bob Tucker, ADT Public Relations Director, saying, quote, "We are pleased the issues were resolved with our customer and that he is happy with the new siren and window contacts that were recently installed in his home."
I got a response quick after I talked to you.